The new Seiko 5 38mm. The question is it bad or is it brilliant? Welcome back to Time on the Wrist at Chisholm Hunter. My name is Harrison, as always. And today we're discussing the Seiko 5 38mm, the new colours that were just launched. We actually have 4 of them here, so we have all 4 of them. We'll go over the colours in a second, but just so you can see them. And I actually made another video on this, and was I wrong in that video? Potentially. I kind of got these watches in. I only had the black and the kind of creamy model, the off-white model, and I kind of slated them. I kind of went for them. It's just not for me. I feel that these watches are lacking a little bit of individuality. And they thought, oh quick, let's just quickly reduce the face size down, and how do we make it popular? Let's add Tiffany blue. And I don't normally do that. I'm very level-headed normally. And then the next 2 colours came in, the orange and the teal, which looks, let's not lie here, Tiffany blue. And I had a change of heart. The whole premise for the last video was that I felt, and I kind of look back in this and shiver now because I don't feel the same way, but I felt at that point that Seiko were just following the trends and they weren't being very original. For example, everyone in the industry is reducing the case sizes down at the moment. That is just the trend amongst the industry. Everyone wants smaller watches, so Seiko have done this. And that's not a bad thing. This is the start. But then they release the teal colour, which is basically, let's not lie here, Tiffany blue. Tiffany blue. And let's look at everyone in the industry. They all release the same type of colour to tie in to that hype watch buying scene. Let's look at the Tissot PRX. They released the ice blue. Let's look at Doxa. They released a Tiffany blue tight. Tiffany blue. Doxa. Or even Casio. They collaborated with Bamford, George Bamford, our dear friend, and they used that Tiffany blue colour. So in the last video, I was kind of having a go for them to sum it up for being, let's say, unoriginal. But after getting hands-on with these models, after viewing these models, after getting them on the wrist, having spent some time with them, I was wrong. They are original in their own way. Now, yes, everybody's going to follow trends to an extent, and that's what we as the community want. We as the community asked for smaller sizes, so Seiko have given us the smaller sizes. We asked for more colours, so Seiko have given us the colours. So I can't have it both ways. I felt with these watches, before I get into the specs, I felt with these watches, I maybe judged the book by its cover before I fully got to know it and got personal with it, and that's my fault. So let's begin with the colours of these models. So you have the teal colour, which, let's not lie here, is pretty much Tiffany blue. And I do still feel, to an extent, it's feeding into that hype factor. But alas, it looks pretty cool. You can't complain about it. Then they have this beautiful bright orange colour. They have an off kind of white, which isn't my cup of tea, but I can understand people wanting that more vintage look. And then they have the black dial version. Now, there's a funny thing in the industry where, and I actually learnt this from the North Face when I was shooting for the North Face. I do videography and photography. They were saying that when they advertise their products, their jackets in particular, they advertise the bright colours that not many people buy. And that's orange, yellow, bright blue. But the click-through rate on those ads, or the conversion rate on those ads, are a lot higher than when they promote the more basic colours, blacks, whites, the kind of neutral colours. And the reason for that is people see the orange or the yellow and it stands out, so they click in it and then they go with the safe option, which is the black or the white or whatever it is. And I think that's partially what's happened here. I reviewed these watches with only the black and that kind of off-white. I didn't really gel with them, but then when I saw the orange and the teal, it changed my mind. These models actually come in at 38mm in diameter, which is a really nice size, and let's not lie guys, we've seen this across the industry. Let's take the Tudor Blancpain 57 or the Longines Hydro Conquest for an example. They're kind of releasing smaller sizes, and that's the way that the industry is going at the moment. The thickness of this model comes in at roughly 12.1 to 12.2 millimeters. So it is quite thin, but I would say it's actually a little bit thicker for the model. I mean, it is quite a small model coming in at 38mm. I would expect it to be around about 11 to 11.5mm in thickness, but it doesn't make it any more less wearable. It's a lot more wearable, in my opinion, than the bigger sizes of the Seiko 5s. On the subject of wearability, you know where you can see this watch on your wrist without even going into a store is on the Chisholm Hunter website, where we're actually the official stockist of Seiko watches. All you need to do is go onto the Chisholm Hunter website, take a picture of your wrist, and it automatically photoshops the watch onto your wrist. So you can try this watch on from the comfort of your own couch. The lug to lug on this model is about 44.2 millimeters, so it does wrap around your wrist really, really nicely, and of course it comes in stainless steel. So for a small watch, the weight of it is quite substantial, and I think partially that's because when Seiko give you watches, they give you a ton of links to mess around with, which is great, because if you get fat in summer like I do, your wrist expands, or in the heat, when it's warmer in the summer, your wrist expands, and you can add more links or take links away in the winter, or whatever you want to do. The case and the bracelet that come in stainless steel have a combination of brushed and polished. The polished is very minimal, so there's not many polished edges, but you do get some on the case that kind of accentuates that line, and also the bracelet is predominantly brushed. Now, because this is brushed, it doesn't show scratches as much, in my opinion. We've actually kept the white paper just on here for protection of the clasp, but the clasp is a little bit... Listen, this watch is £300. It's never going to be a Tudor T-Fit clasp or an Omega Seamaster clasp, but to me, I think they need to look at that system and upgrading that system. It does have a safety latch with a deployant clasp, but to me, just that little flap here is not where I would go. The bezel on these models are in black. Now, most of the models, the teal, the white or off-white, and the black have kind of silvery white numerals that stand out wonderfully and are very contrasting to the bezel. They're very, very readable, but the orange dial has kind of orangey numerals around that bezel. Now, it's not my cup of tea. I would rather go with the teal with the kind of silvery numerals around that bezel, but it's whatever you're into. Diving further into that bezel, it actually has polished edges. It kind of has polished teeth, and that gives it a really nice contrasting sort of look with that bezel. It's very, very easy to turn, and you can actually have a listen at the moment. Very, very nice. There's no complaints about that, and actually for £300, it's pretty damn good. But where I would say that they could maybe streamline this model and take some inspiration from their competitors in the industry, if you could call Tudor a competitor, is with the 1 to 20 minute markers on the bezel. Now, when Tudor released the Blancpain 57, they actually got rid of the 1 to 15 minute markers on the bezel and just left the 5, 10, 15, 20. And that's because when they slimmed the face down to 38 or 37 for the Tudor's reference millimeters, it kind of just got a bit squished, it got a bit compacted, so they thought it would look cleaner if they removed it. And I do think that was a great move from Tudor. But you need to remember that this is £300. And how much does a Tudor do, Drew? Two and a half, £3,000. £3,000. So there's a huge difference. The face on these models are all pretty damn handsome. And one thing that I did notice, and this is something that I noticed after the first video that I did, and this is kind of why I've changed my mind. The Saturday marker on the date window, so you have the day and then the date. Saturday is in this bright blue color, which when you're looking at the black dial contrasts wonderfully with the black. And it's that little splash of color, that little bit of detail, that little sprinkle of salt that gets us watch enthusiasts really enthusiastic about watches, and I love that, and it's something that I didn't even notice before. I like it. Seiko actually went a step further with this small little detailing and released a limited edition Peanuts edition of the Seiko 5 38mm. Drew, thank you very much, Drew. And take a look at this. Now, a review will be coming of this either before or after you've seen this video. I'm not sure when it will be released, but this watch changed my mind almost single-handedly. I say almost because these are pretty cool as well, but almost single-handedly on this whole collection. The little details that they've added, by the way, still coming in for below £4,000. £400? It's just incredible. The reason that I love these collaborations within watch brands, and I know that Omega are really, really good at it, you know, James Bond, the Moon watch. I know that there's a lot of incredible stuff within the industry that goes on when it comes to collaborations. Let's talk about Mario Kart and Tag Heuer. That's brilliant. I love these little sentimental things that brands do because it opens them up to a wider community and also gives people a sentimental attachment to that watch. For example, I've said this in so many other videos, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's an important point to make. Whenever I watch James Bond, or whenever I see an Omega Seamaster, I have the thought of watching James Bond with my dad when I was young. It was Casino Royale. And that's partially why I bought a James Bond watch. And as stupid as it sounds, I think watches are about memories. They're about that sentimental attachment that we hold on them. And a lot of people will have a huge sentimental attachment to peanuts. Anyway, moving back onto the watch because we're going off topic, it actually has, and this is pretty brilliant, an open caseback. Now, I want you to remember a couple of things. One is this comes in at £300. The second thing I want you to remember is that's half the price of a Tissot watch. And the next thing I want you to remember, or I want you to think about, is what other brand offers an automatic watch with an in-house movement for £300. Before we get onto the movement though, this comes in at 100 meters of water resistance. So technically speaking, you could take this swimming with you. I wouldn't go as far as diving, but you can take it swimming with you. Now, the sapphire crystal glass, sorry, force of habit, it's not sapphire crystal glass. It's actually hard lax glass, which is considerably weaker than sapphire crystal. Now, yes, you're paying £300 for a watch, so you wouldn't expect the best, but on this model, I would expect sapphire crystal glass. A little detail that I actually forgot to mention, it obviously has a date window and a day function, and it has superluminova in the hands and the indices. Now, the superluminova is so good, so good for the price. I would genuinely put this up against a watch at a lot higher caliber, and it would give it a run for its money, so well done. On the subject of affordable luxury watches, we actually have an affordable luxury watch that we're giving away to you guys. It is the Tissot PRX Ice Blue, and all you have to do to enter this giveaway is firstly subscribe to the channel to help us reach our goal of 50,000 subscribers. Thank you in advance. Follow our Instagram, Chisholm Hunter Watches, and comment with your favorite luxury watch or Tissot watch. And now we get on to the movement of this model, which is pretty damn incredible for the money. Remember that you're only paying £300 for this, and it's pretty good. Let's get on to the specs. The movement in this model is the manufacturer caliber 4R36. This, of course, is fully automatic and visible through that open caseback, which I just want to say again, is pretty awesome for the money. It comes in at 5.32 millimeters in thickness, has 24 joules, beats at a frequency of 21,600 VPH, and has a roughly 40-hour power reserve. When you actually have this watch on the wrist, when you actually spend time with this watch, it really opens your eyes. And that's what it did to me. I didn't like it at the start, I'll openly admit it. But now, I've got a soft spot for it. I truly do. And yes, there's some of these watches that aren't for me. There's the white, the kind of off-white color that they have that isn't my cup of tea, but it might be yours. And this watch community is all about discussing our separate opinions in a respectful manner. And I was quite disappointed with myself in the last video because I didn't approach it in a respectful manner. And that's something that I won't be doing again. I won't make that mistake again. I'll consider everything. I'll give my opinions, honestly, because there's some things that I don't like. But I'll spend time with these watches before I give that opinion. But at the end of the day, is this watch bad or is it brilliant? I thought it was bad at the start, but now I think it's pretty brilliant. I honestly prejudged this watch far too early, and I love the Seiko manner in which they've gone about things. For example, putting that coloured date in there. For example, putting the orange on the bezel, that splash of orange that changes the aesthetic of that watch. They've done things in a very Seiko fashion, but they're still following the trends in the industry, which everybody needs to do, so nobody can really get angry at it. To be honest, this really changed my mind on Seiko as a whole. You guys know I'm not really a Seiko guy. I don't have one at home. I don't own one. And I was meant to be saving this for another video. I'm not really meant to be saying this, but I'm genuinely considering getting a Seiko model. If you can guess which one it is out of the ones that I've showed you today, then let me know in the comments. But I'm genuinely considering. And on that note, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Chisholm Hunter channel. My name is Harrison, as always. And I'll be back in a couple of days. But before I come back, if you guys could hit that subscribe button and help us get to our goal of 50k, I would really appreciate it. This channel has always been about us just documenting our watch journey and talking about our common passion, and if you could join me on that journey, I would honestly really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in a couple of days.